Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been a long time since I actually made a review of a film or TV series, and this is going to be one after that pretty long time. But yeah, welcome back, and hope those of you who've been checking out some of my other videos have been sticking around. It's not been a very good period of time for films and what do you call this? TV series, there's been a lot of this woke agenda and ideology that's been going around, and all this forced diversity that's just messing up the way storytelling works, because it's not about identities when it comes to storytelling. And I think a lot of, the modern day showrunners per se don't quite get it. And I think it's becoming a serious problem that needs to be addressed before it seeps into a lot of the existing elements. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong in making original content with that's purely focused on, agenda and politics and whatnot, but it's just not interesting enough for people who are just real people. Like real people don't really care about forced agenda and ideology. They're just going to be friends with you if you're cool with them. And that's usually the case. Like, no one cares about your race or your religion or your gender or your identity. That's not really the case when people want to get behind a character. And a good example is something like Ultraman or what do you call this? Samurai X or Goku. Like these are big animes and people from around the world can relate to them even if they're not part of the same culture. And the same goes for me. And I'm not an American or a British guy, but I can often relate to Hispanic actors who, roles like Power Rangers or Superman or Spider-Man. I like these characters because of the identity and the role that they portray. And I think that's the important thing behind storytelling, which a lot of the, modern day stories per se don't really quite understand it, and there's a lot of agenda behind it. And I was really drained, especially by the horrible downfall of Marvel, and also I would say because they were pumping out pretty high quality, what do you call this? Like in terms of cinematography, their films were still pretty good and very high budget, and the budgets were just scaling upwards, but the stories were just falling all apart everywhere. Now, a good example of really good storytelling, like I'm talking like back from the earlier days, I'm talking like an old man, but it's what it is, right? Was this story called Avatar, The Last Airbender. And not the one that I'm having in front of you here, but this animated cartoon from Nickelodeon from back in 2005. Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the greatest stories ever made, and the fact that it was an animation, it brought a lot of children um, from the Nickelodeon stream to actually end up watching it, and now all those children have grown up. So if you were a child back in 2005, you're probably as old as me right now, if not older or younger, but around the same age. So I guess we kind of breached into the territory of not really watching, any of these cool, amazing animations anymore because quite frankly, it's not that we don't like them, it's just that they don't exist. No one has made a story like Avatar: The Last Airbender in the last 2 decades, and I don't think anyone ever will, at least for another decade, because stories like these are really one in like maybe a decade or two, and you don't really get many amazing stories like this. And look at the what do you call this, the amazing cast that they had, voice actors, all of them, and the animations that the story relied on. There was a lot of comedy, a lot of energy, a lot of passion put into it. There's a lot of fun storytelling, little side stories, side quests that the Avatar and his team undertakes, and it was really enjoyable. Amazing story. They try their best to make Aang and Sokka and Katara as relatable as possible to a vast majority of audiences, and I think they pretty much achieved it. We even have the Appa voice actor as one of the top cast there, which is kind of amazing because all of this sort of falls short when they try to remake it in live action. Now we all know that there was a film made by M. Night Shyamalan. It didn't do very well, let's be honest. Regardless, this one I think actually had a really good shot at the genre of trying to remake it in live action. And we know for sure that there's going to be two more seasons because the animated series had two more seasons. Regardless, I feel that this one really fell short because it was trying to uh, slow down the story to show certain scenes, and being unable to keep up with the pace of the anime, it felt like everything was cut short because this was only 10 episodes. Now, if we look back at Avatar: The Last Airbender, the first season, There we go. There is 10, 20 episodes. Yeah, okay, there's about 20 episodes. I think that's it. Don't think there's more than 20. Yeah, it's about 20 episodes per season. And let's be fair, each of these episodes are not that long. They're like half an hour or something like that, right? They're like 30 minutes. Is there a runtime here? Uh, I can't be too sure. Just oh, it's 15 minutes. I think it's about that. Let me see. That's episode 0. Okay, it's about 23 minutes. Let's see, episode 225. Yeah, so it's about 30 minutes with some ads. So these, however, were 1 hour. So they should be able to fit what is done here in a single episode. But they really lacked in a lot of the fast pace, the sort of snappy editing, and I think that sort of really made it feel a little bit sluggish and slow and unable to keep up with the pace of the original anime. And I felt that that sort of chopped it down and made like parts were missing, the jokes just didn't land because they were not snappy enough. The timing of a lot of the characters trying to emote on screen really struggled, and it's kind of interesting because you can definitely animate a character to make them look more funny and more, enjoyable and whatnot. And it's a lot easier to do that than to teach children how to act. And I totally understand the difficulty behind this because it's just from my experience of watching films alone that I can tell that it's very difficult to find a good child actor who's able to emote really, really well and to get that scene across really quickly. Because human beings, if you just cut between scenes too quickly, you don't quite get their full emotional expression. And you can really see how more senior actors like Paul here, Paul's son Young Lee, who played Uncle Iroh, was able to really emote really well, and his expressiveness, I think, almost was addictive to the filmmakers to actually want to linger on shots of him for a little bit longer just to get the point across, because you can really feel the emotions driven by him, and along with the music, it really landed pretty well. And I think the same goes for other more senior actors like Daniel Day Kim and Ken Leung. You can really see that they carry their weight in their film. They were able to express a lot of those emotions across, and it worked really, really well. Even King Boomy, I was kind of impressed with the way they showcased King Boomy, which was pretty accurate to what the original animation was. And to be fair to the child actors as well, or rather the younger actors as well, I think Sokka was great. I think Katara did her job as best she could with the dialogues that she had. There was kind of quite a number of variations I noticed in Katara's dialogue from the animation to this TV series, but the live action, I mean, but it was still fine. And I think Gordon Cormier is a really good Aang, a really, really believable Avatar Aang. Right. Now, here's where the shortcomings start to happen. So, in the animation, there's a lot of scenes where Aang is just freely airbending, and a lot of the fight scenes happen almost casually, and you can really see these streams of air where Aang just floats around and moves around and almost seamlessly tries to transition from a stationary position to a combat position. And you don't really quite feel that in this. There's lack of impact in airbending and water bending, and some scenes just feel like everyone is just being pulled here and there by strings and not so much actually being hit by objects. And I think the lack of expressiveness in showing those scenes really made it very tricky to make the bending believable. Fire bending, on the other hand, I think seems to be the most realistic in terms of its raw impact, though very unrealistic in terms of the damage that it's actually doing. You should see things burning and singeing and smoke appearing from the fire actually hitting objects because they would easily smoke up because of how hot the fire is. And not being able to do something like that in live action, I feel is a serious missed opportunity in trying to express how live action could actually do things better than animation. So a lot of this water bending that you see, like the Katara uses when she actually fights people, when the water hits the enemies or opponents, they don't actually get wet. And it's so strange that there are scenes where they don't get wet, and you're trying to get the point across that oh, she's water bending and she's hitting enemies, but we don't see them get wet. There's also like there's one of those scenes in I think the last episode where she duels the master of the Northern Water Tribe, and she whips the back of his head with some water, but the dude doesn't get wet, and he's having like a fur coat on him or something. It's really strange, some of those scenes that they make it seem almost like the bending was just done really poorly. Um, as for the acrobatics of the fighters, I think Prince Zuko and Aang, Dallas Liu and Gordon Cormier are pretty acrobatic, and I think it really showcases their talent in a lot of the fights. I haven't really seen too much from Sokka. But I think the real downside to this entire show in terms of the cast was Elizabeth Yu as Azula. In a lot of her fight scenes, we don't really see her doing any real acrobatic fights, and that's very important because the entire premise of Avatar: The Last Airbender is very acrobatic fight scenes of characters using kung fu and martial arts and really ancient techniques of being able to move the body around to manipulate the elements using by channeling the chi, right? I think that's kind of the core of it. So we used to see a lot of these acrobatic fights, and now we don't quite see them in the TV series, and it just doesn't feel the same. And so when Prince Zuko, who's played by Dallas Liu, when he's fighting and you see him do these amazing acrobatic stunts, it really feels like you're watching the Avatar: The Last Airbender for some of those brief moments. Then when you come out of those sections and you just go back to the regular story, you don't quite feel the excitement that you do when you really have those scenes in play. Also, for some of those side characters, like the animals, which played a huge role in the original animated series, which is Appa and Momo, you don't really feel the value of Appa. Sorry, these are spoiler territory, so I'm just going to skip that. Especially for those of you who haven't watched the original animation. Actually, what are you doing in your life if you haven't watched the original animation? Please go and do that first. But yeah, Appa and Momo, they were very important characters who always feel like there is that sense of home wherever you go because you sort of always return to your pets. That's kind of the feeling I get from it. At least that's the way I see it. Like Momo is sort of this like pet cat or dog that's always reliably there, and then Appa is this transport, like a horse carriage of sorts that's always also going to be reliably there. So the reliability of where these animals constantly are to help the characters in those little bits and moments sort of makes it feel like there's always a home to go back to. Because at the end of the day, where do Avatar, Katara, Sokka, and where do they go back to at the end of the day? They always go back to Momo because Momo is their transport, Momo is their carriage, and Momo takes them traveling around the world. And so that sense of home here is sort of lost because Momo is lacking in a lot of the scenes. Momo had like what, two, three, maybe four scenes at most, and in a lot of the scenes that the animation for Momo as well was just I would say it just was poorly done compared to how well the background animation and a lot of other things are done. Because some of the shots in this film are absolutely amazing. Some of the scenes of the kingdoms and the environment are really beautiful. And then you have the water bending, and the air bending, and these things sort of like take you out of the immersion and pull you back and make you feel like all of a sudden like, oh, I'm just watching some people attempt at animation of trying to remake Avatar. That's what it feels like. And it really shouldn't have felt that way. And I think, yeah, a lot of missed opportunities in terms of the quality, but I would be impressed knowing the budget of this. So let me see if I can look that up. So I'm looking at a site called Fandom Wire. I'm not sure of the accuracy of this. I probably can get corrected later on in the comments if you guys are up for it. But there's some comparison apparently with the budget of One Piece. But the show here says that the budget was 120 million US dollars, with each episode costing almost around 15 million dollars. That's hard to believe. Hmm. If you ask me, this is actually not bad. For modern day filmmaking and editing, especially considering how much films can cost, let's say a 2 hour film can come to a budget of already $100 million, right? So that's like saying every 10 minutes it's like, what do you call this, almost 10 million, right? Because like 100 minutes is like 100 million, maybe 120 minutes is like 120 million. That's about 2 hours of a film, so every 10 minutes is like 10 million. So considering these episodes are 1 hour, you would expect if it's film quality, it's 60 million. So if let's say the budget is 15 million, that's a quarter of the quality of movies itself. Considering that, I think I'm actually quite impressed with how well they've done in this. And I'm sure, having paying some of these actors, not all of them are really um, that expensive. I'm sure it's more of the senior actors who may be a lot more expensive, especially some of these experienced ones, like the Korean actors Paul Sun-yi, Daniel Dae Kim, Ken Leung. These actors may be a lot more costly, and then I'm sure that there are some production budgets who for all the behind the scenes makeup and the animations and whatnot that's quite costly. I think all that considered, 15 million per episode for the quality that we got is actually pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie. So all things considered, I don't mind continuing to watch season 2 and 3, but I really can't rate it any higher just because of what do you call this? like, oh, they managed to do something with this low budget. Like that would be impressive if actually this thing was able to beat its predecessor. And that's important because a lot of people say like, oh, don't compare it to the original. You have to compare it to the original because you took it from the original. You relied on the original source materials, marketing budget to be able to showcase this film, right? So you relied on existing fan base to bring money in for you because you're not doing your own marketing to actually bring this kind of fan base or this kind of attraction for this kind of a story. You already have the fan base. You had the fan base from back in 2005. So you have had 15 years excuse me, almost 20 years to come up with something that is able to keep that fan base, entertained. So I think that it's still not a huge win, although I think it's a really solid TV series for those who just want to watch something enjoyable. And considering the budget is still, I would say, decent, I really hope that they ramp things up in season 2 and 3. I really don't mind if they save the budget for fewer scenes of bending if it really looks more realistic and they try to cram some of those action fight scenes into like shorter time frames. That's absolutely fine because a lot of the other scenes where the story going on between these actors feels really good. Although I would like to see a lot more seamless change between the regular story and the actual battles because a lot of the snappy editing from the animation is sort of what brings it the fun and enjoyable moments. And if let's see if I can actually play this trailer to try to showcase some of those scenes of Aang actually trying to talk. Or you know what? Let me see. Book fire. Okay. This might be spoiler territory, but let's see if I can just get a scene here. Let me just mute this a bit. So, yeah, you see. So here's an example of someone actually, trying to, or rather, the animation trying to show us some explosions, movement, motion. Look at the impact that they show with the wave motion of the water bending and the shaking. This is intentionally done to make you feel the impact of the world around you. Look at that. Look at how the wind is moving. Look at the animation quality of how it's transitioning. Look at Katara trying to get past this object here. Look at that with the water bending. It's just so fast paced and it feels so fluid that you don't quite get that fluidity in the live action. And it's totally understandable that it's not easy to replicate, but it's sort of the quality you would expect from a remake, which is what it really is. Yes, it's live action remake. It's very different from just making a live action animated anime. But I think considering the 20-year near 20-year gap that they have, 15 plus year gap that they have between this and the live action, and with the quality of technology that they have at Netflix, I just would try my best to I'm trying to be fair here. Like 15 million is a low budget for these kinds of things, but you are trying to remake something that's already existing, you should try to do a little bit better. So my real complaint would be, yes, the comedy falls short. You don't really enjoy the story as much as you did the animation. The animation felt like the quips and the jokes and the moments that, it really brought things together sort of falls apart. A lot of these side characters who expectedly are home, a representation of home, which is Momo and Appa, don't really have much weight here. Azula was the most disappointing among the cast itself. There were at times where you don't feel very relatable to Aang in this because I don't know, they just I guess didn't give him enough weight in some of the action scenes because Aang is usually having fun in a lot of his fights in the original animation. I think that sort of is this kind of how can you put it? It's like this addictive, almost contagious kind of fun in the kid, that shows you why he's still a kid. Yes, he's the Avatar, yes, he's so powerful, and he's an excellent airbender even for his age. But he sort of has this very, like you can get behind his character just from the way he represents himself, and I didn't quite feel it here. But still, again, kudos to Gordon Cormier. I think he did a really good job, and I think that it's sort of up to movie magic to try to make his character a little bit more lovable, a little bit more fun, so that people can actually relate and want to be Aang, because that's the kind of thing that you want to be when you're watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. You wanted to be Avatar: The Last Airbender because he's so cool, he's so fun, and he's this addictive, kid-like behavior, this boisterous attitude, this emotional energy that he carries with him, where he's just this really powerful force of nature who hasn't quite figured himself out yet, and he really loves his friends. And Yeah, we have a lot of emotional music and whatnot, but they need to ramp up the fun, and I hope they do that. But I'm really looking forward to the second and third season. But for now, my rating for this TV series is a solid 5 out of 10, though because I really loved this as a kid, I'm going to give this a 6, considering all the efforts they may have put in to try to bring this up. And I think it is definitely a win compared to the original movie that came out. If I were to rate this seriously, I would say it's a 5. But as I said, I'm going to give it a 6 just because I'm a huge fan of the original series and I really want this to succeed as much as possible. I'm really looking forward to season 2 and 3 because there's going to be a lot more fights. Aang is going to learn a lot more of the other bending art forms. Spoilers, but yes, he's going to learn a lot more of the other bending art forms, and I really hope that translates well to the screen because we want to see the Avatar be able to master all four elements and look really cool doing it. And the first season is usually the hook. You want to get people hooked, and I really hope it does that to a new generation of what do you call this? Benders, kids, I would say. I really hope they really get into it, and this will be cool because the parents can be like, hey, you know what? You should actually watch the original cartoon. It was so cool back in my day, and it's definitely one of those things that you would want to do with your kid, I'm sure. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys had fun watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you have not, you should check it out. It's on Netflix. I'm not sponsored it by any reason whatsoever in this video. I'm just trying to suggest to people what I enjoy and what I watch. And if you don't plan on checking it out, I highly recommend you do check out the original animated cartoon from Nickelodeon. However, you may be able to get it. It's from 2005. I'm sure a lot of the rules don't apply today. But yeah, if you can get it, please watch it and please share this to the world because this is one of those amazing TV series from way back. And as you can see, I rated this really, really high, a 9 out of 10, because it's one of those beloved things that is always going to be there in my top all-time list. Now, why I didn't give this a 10, you ask? Well, at that time, the Avatar: The Last Airbender failed to tackle some of the elements of being able to balance out the importance of all the characters. See, that's one of the things that a lot of stories struggle with is when you have a huge cast, you're not able to complete all these stories like fulfillingly well. And I felt that some of the characters in this story actually struggled. And I don't want to say who or what and all that. That's a whole separate review that I have to get into, and it's spoiler territory for those who haven't watched. So yeah, we'll get into it when we actually complete this TV series because I want to see whether they solve some of those problems here. Because from what I see, they have Azula, who's just not gonna look good enough in those fight scenes unless she is secretly acrobatic, and I haven't seen it because Prince Zuko, Dallas Liu, looks amazing in his fight scenes. He's doing a great job so far. Ian Owsley as Sokka is doing great. Gordon Cormier is doing great, and Kia Ventillo as Katara. I think she's doing great. She's doing her job. I don't see any flaws in her actual acting itself. It's just more, I think, of the way they allow her to portray those dialogues and those moments. I really wish they had that kind of snappy, almost I don't want to say Guy Ritchie, but they really need that strong anime style editing, which you can easily refer just by watching the anime itself. Like just watch a scene from the anime and see how quickly they transition from fun to intense to fight scenes to back to story. It's so well done that it really shows you the amount of efforts put in by the creators back then. Michael Dante and Brian Konietzko. I hope I'm saying that right. Konietzko. I probably shouldn't try anymore. But yeah, these people they really work their heart out to try to get stories like these across. And Nickelodeon did a great job of owning such an amazing IP. And look at it, it survived 15 years, made it to Netflix, and it costs 100 million to make these kinds of series. And I'm sure way back then it cost way way lesser. But let's be fair, right? This is live action. But 50 million episode for modern day filmmaking with this kind of animations and quality, I think it's pretty impressive. Not gonna lie. So yeah, that's about it for me for this one. I really hope in season 2 this goes to a 7 and in season 3 this goes to an 8. If not, reliably at a 7 is pretty solid. As I said before, anything above a 5 is totally worth a watch for me. It's something, especially those things that you want to rewatch, right? Like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animation, you definitely want to rewatch this. So it's already in rewatchable territory, which means it's an easy clean cut above 5. This one, however, I'm going to leave it as a 6 for now. I don't know how well it's going to do in season 2. I don't want it to drop. I really hope there's no political stuff being added to this and being spoiled or rotten by all these modern day bullshit. It really should stick to the amazing story it already has. And even if they want to recite line to line, I honestly don't care, right? Because the idea is you're trying to remake this in live action. It's already a monumental effort to try to recreate a very successful show and huge respect to that. So I'm trying to be harsh to people who are already putting in so much effort and value. And trust me, I understand that. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I really enjoyed it and I support it. but I'm just trying to be critical with my rating. So if you think that I'm being harsh, trust me, I love this. I really, really want to see more, and I want people to put this kind of effort that's being put into things like One Piece and Avatar: The Last Airbender to a lot more beloved action stories out there, because these are amazing pre-existing stories that you already have. Great source material, great storytelling, get character building, and trying to translate that to live action is a huge effort, as I'm saying. And I really love this kind of effort. But I feel that when you're doing these kinds of things, go gung ho, go crazy, do more. Showcase that insane animation quality that we have these days in modern Hollywood and modern filmmaking and whatnot, right? Just go nuts, turn it into a movie. I don't care if you have to blow the budget to get this thing done, but it's one of those things that you have to do because people are going to keep rewatching this. And I think Netflix knows that, right? Because one of the things about Netflix is that they have to control their budget because they're not selling tickets in a cinema. They're getting money off subscription. So people have to pay subscription not to watch one show, but to watch like hundreds of shows. So it's not very profitable to have this kinds of thing on Netflix as opposed to something like on cinema. But the problem was on cinema, this just wouldn't do well because it has a good format of being a TV series, right? So again, kudos to the showrunners and Netflix. I think that they're doing their best and a great job all in, but this is the rating I can give for now. I really would like to rate higher considering everything that's being put in, especially considering I'm comparing this to a lot of horrible films these days. But here's the thing, here's the truth. We have a lot more amazing shows to watch in history that just shadows a lot of modern day films and TV series. And that's kind of the truth, right? We've got almost 100 years of great cinema, or rather, what am I saying? 50 years of great cinema, and like 70 to 80 years of great filmmaking. And what was like 100 years ago? Snow White? Maybe I think Snow White is like 20s or 30s, right? So yeah, it's almost 100 years of incredible films, and you really want to go back and watch all these amazing things while we have a trot of good filmmaking and storytelling. But I think Avatar: Last Airbender really defies that logic, and is standing to be one of those things that might stand the test of time. We'll see. But yeah, that's it for me for this one. Kind of long, but it's been a while since I made one of these reviews, and I really wanted to be detailed because I really love this show, and I can show that in my passion. And here's the feeling that I actually have, and I enjoy the kind of reviews that I'm making. And more than often, if it's the show that I'm just ranting about, if I enjoy it, it's going to be a long rant. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of pointless for me to even put in the effort and energy to try to convey my points across because I feel like people won't really understand it as well because they don't have quite the same passion that I do. So that's it from me for this one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next and take care.